Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast. And here's your host, John Chapman.
What is going on, faithful? It is absolutely incredible to be with you guys right now. And, we were planning to go a little bit later because the 49ers are meeting with media members currently. But the back-to-back pressers the 49ers have chosen not to provide to the public for some reason. Really don't like that move. Really don't like it because we have seen, how do I say this politely? Kyle Shanahan or John Lynch can say something and they completely miss it and blow it out of the freaking water and have no clue as to what the 49ers kind of front office is doing or what they're implying, right? That's how we get Mac at 3. That's how we get arm fatigue. That's how we get, Trey Lance botched, quote unquote, whatever. Like, it just sucks, but that's okay. It reminds me a little bit now of back in the Chip Kelly days. I don't know if you guys were around back then. He didn't allow media members anything. He didn't allow the public anything. And so it was just rough because I don't know. I think we are very lucky in the sense that we have so many people covering this team that put out quality, good content. But yeah, it's a bummer, but nothing we can do about it. All we can do is move on. There's lots of very positive things to talk about with the 49ers and what's going on as the practice squad continues to be assembled, which is, I think, so important. And so kind of the main purpose of the show this morning is going to be, I ranked my favorite practice squad signings, and I did it in the way of balancing short-term likelihood to be activated and long-term potential. And so went 1 through 14. We've got 14. Now, each team gets 16 practice report players or practice squad players, but we get one extra because Alfredo Gutierrez, the international exemption player. Again, I love that he's a part of it. I love that he's with this team. He's such a huge locker room guy. If you remember, he got his very first snaps ever in the second preseason game against the Vikings and got the game ball. Like he's such a huge locker room guy. But in my 1 through 14, he's exactly that. He's an exemption player. He's all the way back at 14. And that's kind of where he goes, right? That's where he is. Now, I do want to say that I apologize for any confusion last night. 100% my fault. Me and Eric Crocker were talking, and we both thought we were inviting each other to each other's show. So that's why we kind of double booked it. I was on Locked On 49ers yesterday. If you missed that, go catch that. What's up, Yatsik? I did get some clips, and I'll be putting those out on my YouTube channel, bits and pieces of those based on topics. But I am going to be having Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker on the show in the upcoming week, so stay tuned for that. Also do want to let you know, we do have our Patreon-only live show today at 3 with 49ers Cutback, which I'm so excited. That's turned into one of my favorite shows every single week just because, man, he does such a good job. Love what they do over there. So if you want to catch that and you haven't yet, all you got to do is head over to our Patreon, which we just uploaded some more breakdown film of preseason defense and special teams. I got done this morning. I couldn't sleep. So I woke up at like 3:50 this morning. I was like, screw it. Let's go watch some film. And so I went through all the special teams, got that done. I'll have that posted for tomorrow morning. So if you're just itching for some more 49ers content, that's going to be the place to be. All 22 coaches tape, every single offensive, defensive snap and special team snap from the preseason. You can go through those. So if you want to find out more, how are these practice squad players translating? That's going to be one of the best places to go. It's going to be the best place to go. I feel very, very confident in the product that we are putting out there. So if you haven't yet, go check it out. 100% refundable if you don't like the product. No questions asked. So number 14 on our practice squad kind of power rankings, that's Alfredo Gutierrez, the offensive tackle from Mexico. Number 13, very familiar face. which I'm really glad that we were able to get him back because we saw him in a new light, and that's defensive end. And you got to add this to the resume, defensive tackle, Alex Barrett. This would be his third consecutive year on the 49ers practice squad. Do I think that he will get called up? I do not, which is why I have him at 13. But they love him because he's a high energy, high effort player. They can play him outside. They can play him inside. Very good at special teams. He's just kind of that baseline, borderline player for the defensive line and special teams unit that they trust because he's been in the system and he's a good dude. He's consistent, but unfortunately his talent kind of limits him. And that's why, even though he's put up some good tape, he hasn't been claimed. So again, I don't think that he'd be the first defensive tackle. I don't think that he'd be the first defensive end to be brought up. So that's why I have him at 13. Number 12, probably, how do I say this? I don't know, not villain, but maybe the most disliked film of the preseason, and that's Keaton Sutherland. Now, he comes in at a position that is very scarce, and that's center. You know, there was one point, if you go back to minicamp and OTAs, he was the backup center almost the entire time. And so that's kind of the rough area, right? Because Brindle, all right, cool. Now you got Brunskill, all right, cool. But you're missing some stuff. There's not a lot of depth at the center position. And if you cannot develop Nick Zakel, Jason Poe, you know, one of those guys playing that center position, man, you're really 2 injuries away from Keaton Sutherland stepping in and taking snaps. They'd probably go out and address that through a trade or free agency. But yeah, Sutherland comes in at 12 for me. Next up, a new face, number 11, Blake Lynch, linebacker, Texas boy. What's up? You know, he played at Baylor. He was the Vikings undrafted free agent. They waived him, but they saw something they liked. And we have seen this continuously. 49ers will buy into different programs at the college level and take their coach's word on it. So obviously there's been a lot of Baylor guys. Jalen Hurd, yeah, did it pan out? It didn't. JaMychal Hasty, did it pan out? No, it didn't. But you never missed work ethic. You never missed hustle with any of those guys. You had health concerns with Hurd. All right, whatever. That's a whole nother thing. But Hasty just never caught on. He got surpassed on the depth chart. It's just what it was, and that's okay. Mike, he says, I loved last week's cutback episode. Man, we do an extra episode every single week on Patreon. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Mike's a big supporter. He's such a good dude. Great dude. Appreciate you, Mike. Hope the little one's treating you all right. Hope everything's going all right there. Now, I want to talk about this. Michael, he says, man, bring back Dante Johnson, the Barnacle. I think that he will be brought back eventually. There's no doubt about it. He's going to be on the 49ers roster at some point. Now is just not the time. And we'll get to why. We got to wait a couple more spots. But I want to bring that back, Clayton. Can you start that comment? Because I want to talk about the free safeties that they brought back to the practice squad and why Dante Johnson is where he is currently. Yatsik, I appreciate the kind words, my friend, recommending the Patreon. You learn something in every episode. Thank you so much, man. We put out, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We put out 6 episodes bonus on Patreon this week alone. And once the season starts, that's going to go to 7 extra shows a week. That's stupid. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a bit more off than I can chew. And I don't care because more football, more 49ers football, that's worth it all the time. And so, yeah, if you do have deep questions and you want me to dive into those a little bit more, that live show is 100% for Patreon. So if we'll spend 5-10 minutes on one question to make sure that we get it correct the way it is. Here's a little bit more rapid fire. We got a lot more people in the chat, and that's a great thing. Appreciate everybody. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit subscribe. But that's kind of where we are. Now, the Blake Lynch linebacker, I haven't watched any of his film. I'm just going to be very forthright on that. I have him at 11 because I don't think he's the first or second player off this practice squad at the linebacker position. I really, really don't. I guess he would have to be second. But with Curtis Robinson on IR, I think he will be able to come back if that happened. But the linebacker is just so deep. So this Blake Lynch signing out of Baylor, let's see what he's got. because Sagan Olabi's out there as well. Clayton, man, behind the scene. What do we got, my
Hey,
friend?
what is going on, John? So we got some breaking news. We just talked about the man, the myth, the barnacle
go.
himself, Dante Johnson.
There we go.
He has just been re-signed to the practice squad per John Lynch. This is from Matt Mayoko, so it is official. Welcome back, Dante. Never
Dude,
leave,
barnacle.
my friend.
I just said he's got to be back at some point.
Mhm.
Now, he's not to the active roster. Man, let's jump ahead now. This is why he's not on the active roster. You have 3 safeties, okay, currently on the active roster. Talanoa Hufanga, Tarvarius Moore, George Odom. Those are your 3 right now. Remember, Jimmy Ward's on IR. But the 49ers chose to keep Tayshaun Gibson. He's number 6 on my list. And Taylor Hawkins. He's number 7 on my list. So you've already got 2 safeties there. Now, Dante Johnson will probably be elevated along with Tayshaun Gibson. I think both those guys will get elevated or brought up if anything happens. Definitely one will. But yeah, you're probably going to bring 2 safeties up this week just because of the versatility. You want to make sure you got everything covered. But man, shout out to Dante Johnson. Love the man. He's incredible. He's going to be a part of this 49ers organization for a long time coming. Probably not as a player. And yeah, I believe this is his 16th contract. I remember seeing 15th a lot. This is his 16th contract with the 49ers and will not be his last. It will not be. I think that he'll get waived a few times and brought back a few times. And when Jimmy Ward comes back, maybe you keep him on the practice squad. But rest assured, a few things are constant. Death, taxes, and Dante Johnson, baby. Now, here's my hope. I really hope they don't put him at slot corner. I sure as hell hope they don't put him at outside corner. Now, I know that they have him listed as a slot, safety, and outside cornerback. I don't like that. He should only play safety moving forward. That's the best place for him to be successful. Hopefully, Samuel Womack's going to be starting nickel. Diamador Lenore should be backup nickel. And, if you got a couple injuries, all right, cool. You want to make him your 3rd nickel? I'm okay with that. But, yeah, man, that's awesome. John Wick 6 is casting Dante Johnson to replace Keanu Reeves. Yeah, ultimate survival skills. I love that, man. Dude, tip the hat. This is the 9th year in the league. People forget Jimmy Ward and Dante Johnson were roommates at the Senior Bowl. Like, talk about a blast from the past. Now here they are, 9 years later, still on the same roster. Dante Johnson bounced around. Jimmy Ward's been with us the whole time. But, man, incredible. Just freaking bravo, man. Just bravo. I'm very happy about this. I think the vet presence and I think the versatility is important. I still believe Tayshaun Gibson will get the playing time first out of those, and Taylor Hawkins will get the playing time eventually out of those. He has the highest ceiling, but you sure as heck don't want an undrafted free agent starting week 1 at a safety position next to Talanoa. It's just too much inexperience. So I think Tayshaun Gibson's going to be the play early, and I think Taylor Hawkins would be the play late. So you have your immediate, you have your long-term, and now you got Dante Johnson. So you got 3 safeties, and he's number 15. So, now we have 2 spots left, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if those get filled today. They came out and said that Trey Sermon, if he does clear waivers, they will bring him on the practice squad. So, which is crazy that, 3rd round pick last year could clear waivers at the running back position, but he just hasn't put on good film. I think somebody might claim him, but who knows? They're going to keep 1 spot open for him, which it's crazy. And yeah, right here, I love this chop suey. Verrett is coming back later in the season. He will be playing slot or outside. He'll be the first corner off the bench. Right now, before Verrett returns, should be Diamador Lenore. He's the first corner off the bench right now. Inside, slot guy, outside, don't care. He's way ahead of Ambry with what he's put up. He's going to get first crack. And any of the 3 cornerback positions, it's him. Then Ambry Thomas. And when Verrett comes back, he slides in ahead of Diamador Lenore, unless another corner is struggling. But I think they're going to extend a little bit of leeway for Samuel Womack. And man, what has he shown us that would suggest he's going to struggle? Again, I finished special teams film this morning from the Texans game. Dude jumps off the freaking screen on special teams every freaking time. It jumps off the freaking screen. He's incredible. Just love his tenacity. Really, really do. Now, let's jump back to our countdown. Number 10, I've got wide receiver Tay Martin. Really not impressed with his film at all. They like his body. They like his hands. They like his build. He offers something the 49ers don't really have in that bigger wide receiver outside guy. But yeah, just not a great preseason. Maybe in practice he's showing out. He's a developmental player, which brings us to number 9. You got Willie Snead. Longtime vet. He is a guy that I think could get elevated for playing time so that you could have that number 6 wide receiver. But again, I love the pairing, right? With the new practice squad rules, you can have 6 vets, 6. So you're pairing a perhaps non-depth position wide receiver. They don't have a lot of depth. They only kept 5 on the roster. Most teams keep 6 or 7, but we run the ball so much and do so many 2 tight end sets. It allowed you that opportunity to stash something else, right? But if we just look at the wide receiver development long-term, you have your long-term answer, your high potential player with Tay Martin. Short-term, you got Willie Snead. Or probably the first elevated, we'll get to him a little bit later. He's higher on this list, Malik Turner. So the fact that you're keeping not 1, not 2, but 3 wide receivers on your practice squad, it's pretty telling, right? It's to compensate for the lack of depth at the wide receiver position. You got to have those bodies, and they're hard to find. So again, you got your long-term developmental play, Tay Martin. You got your 2 experienced vets that could step in right now. And that's kind of where that is. So that's number 9, Willie Snead, which I really like having him back because, again, not only is he a good wide receiver, he's a backup punt returner, right? So, like, he's a punt guy that you could put back there. Not a speed guy, but just good hands. He's not going to be returning stuff for touchdowns, whatever else. And if Ray McLeod has some issues, Willie Snead would get that spot, or Brandon Ayuk. There's a couple other spots that, people you could put back there, but, that's one of those guys. Number 8, and this was a shock to me. Kevin Givens is not on this practice squad. I'm sorry. Kevin Atkins is not on this practice squad. Kevin Givens is on the 53-man roster. Kevin Atkins out of San Diego State, undrafted free agent, who I thought film was good. He hasn't been claimed yet. I don't know if he's looking for another spot. Maybe it's just too deep of a roster. He doesn't feel he can get there. I don't know. He's not there. They did bring back Akeem Spence, who, more of a veteran player. His tape was good. Not great this preseason, but it wasn't bad. And he's a little bit more of the run stuffing defensive tackle than he is that, slasher, whatever. That's what Kevin Atkins was. That's what I thought for sure they would keep Kevin Atkins. Maybe he'll still be added. I hope they do. I liked him. But Akeem Spence is there at number 8. Now, before we get to our top 7, which I want to spend a little bit more time on those guys because this is my cutoff. Okay. 8 through 15 now, that's kind of my cutoff. Like those guys, I think they serve a role and I like them. Whenever I look at the top 7, I fully 100% expect all of them to have an impact this year on the active roster. 49ers use their practice squad better than anybody. We're going to detail that here in a second. Winning seasons have officially returned. And with the NFL season on the way, you're going to get plenty of opportunities with MyBookie. That's right. They're back again to support the show all season long. So you can scan this code right here to my right, or you can go sign up with promo code 49ers, 49ERS. And what's going to happen is they're going to give you a double deposit bonus up to $1,000. It's freaking incredible. All you got to do is use our promo code, and it's simple. Let's say you deposit $250. Guess what? You're going to have $500 in your account to bet with, and you've got all kinds of things that you can bet on. Individual games, if you want to keep it simple. You can do prop builders. You can do teasers. You can do parlays. They got casino game. They got everything. So bet on team winning totals, who's going to win the Super Bowl, all those different things, whatever you need to do to secure the bag. So Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Again, just scan this code right to my right or head to mybookie.ag. Use promo code 49ERS. Again, bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. All right. Just loaded all of our preseason, season-long bets this morning over on Patreon if you want all those. Those are up on there, which is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun year. We're going to do well. I feel very, very confident in what we're doing. I love our betting strategy. And that's right. If you're just joining us, number 27, Dante Johnson, the Barnacle. He's back, baby. You can't keep him down. Excuse me, goodness. I'm allergic to open practice squad spots, which Coach Cruz asked about. Sorry about that segue. I think that was a good segue. I think that was decent. I covered up the sneeze fairly well, I hope, anyway. Coach Cruz asked his thoughts on the remaining practice squad spots. We are now at 15 with Dante Johnson coming back, which is great, great, great news. That means there's 2 spots available. We already know that they want Trey Sermon back, so they're not going to fill one of those until after Trey Sermon clears waivers or gets claimed by somebody else. I kind of hope – I think it would be in the best interest of Trey Sermon to go elsewhere. I really, really do. But I get the familiarity with the system, all those things. But if I was Trey Sermon's agent, I would say, look, dude, go somewhere else. But 49ers kind of did him a little bit of a disservice in a sneaky move, which is I mean, they traded up in the 3rd round, so they have all full rights to do what they did, but they waited until everybody else started filling their practice squad with running backs and then released them. It's another shenanigans that we've seen several times. It's smart from a 49ers perspective, probably not in the best interest of Trey Sermon, but also he was a 3rd round pick that is completely washed out so far. So if I was his agent, I'd be telling him, go elsewhere, man. Go check something else out. Let's see. You're buried on this depth chart now. You're behind, 4 other running backs. Go somewhere else. But we'll see what happens. So I think that's one spot. I would bring back Kevin Atkins right now. That's what I would do. If I was, I really was high on him, defensive tackle play. And again, you look long-term, I know the 49ers have Kalia Davis, their 6th round pick, I believe. 6th round pick. From Texas A&M, he's on NFI list, so he's waiting in the wings. But remember, 1, 2, 3, 4 defensive tackles, all on expiring contracts right now. So this is their last year. So I want more developmental defensive tackles in the wings, and I think Kevin Atkins shows promise. So those would be my 2 spots. So wait and see what happens with Trey Sermon, and if he doesn't, then you go get another running back. I know that the Abram kid from Baylor, we just lost a Baylor running back. He's out there. I would try to get him. And if I was another running back that was not on a practice squad, I would be waiting, begging the 49ers to claim me. Because if you're a running back, it's the best place in the world to be. It's the best place in the world to be, unless you're Trey Sermon. All right, here we go. Let's spend some time. Let's talk about these top 7. I already kind of introduced Taylor Hawkins. Number 41, man. He's pretty damn good. Everybody was excited about Leon O'Neal Jr., and rightfully so. He got, the big contract and, signing bonus, then he got hurt. But before he was hurt, and if you've joined us on these Patreon-only episodes, Ant can tell you firsthand, he was being outplayed 100% by Taylor Hawkins day 1. Chop Suey says, Leon O'Neal still hurt. Well, I can tell you this, because he cleared waivers and was on IR before the 53-man, even if he's not hurt, he is not allowed to play for the 49ers this calendar year. He can play for another team. He cannot play for the 49ers. It's actually against the rules. Look at CSL. He says, Chapman solo show. Yes. I do get a lot of emails about asking for more solo shows, and I appreciate that. And trust me, once the season gets going, you're going to get a lot more of these. We're still going to have the John and Wayne show on Tuesdays during the season. We are still going to have the NFC West kind of watch with Brian on Thursdays. And on top of that, I don't know if I should say this. Let's do this. No, Brian is not on today. Because he's got some family in town, and he wanted to focus on that before the season, before he gets crazy busy. So this is the Thursday show. Then at 3 o'clock, we have our Patreon-only live show. So Patreon members, Steve Young tearing up, live show at 3 p.m. That's going to be there. So 2 shows today, which is awesome. And there's a lot to talk about, which I'm excited to kind of argue. I've already got some questions brought up for 49ers cutback. I got to talk offensive line play with him. So Hance, he's an offensive line coach, incredible guy. We're going to dive in deep. So if you want to talk more old line stuff, that's going to be later today at 3:00. So not saying we can't touch it here, but that's the biggest thing that we'll be talking about. Now, Taylor Hawkins, okay? So again, not only did he outplay Leon O'Neal, I think he outplayed Tayshaun Gibson. I think that he outplayed Tavarius Moore. He was so much more consistent and energetic, whether it was getting his hands on balls, which is a weird phrase. It's just he shows like he passes the eye test, 100% passes it. I fully expect Taylor Hawkins to eventually be part of this safety group. And if Tarvarius Moore cannot show that he belongs finally and correct his mistakes on pursuit angles, on running himself out of lanes, on just not being a one-on-one man coverage whenever we're in blitz packages, if he can't fix those 2 things, he's going to be gone. And I'm telling you right now, especially when Jimmy Ward goes back. He's got a 4-week window, Tarvarius Moore, because we're so shallow at the position. But I'm telling you, Taylor Hawkins is a player to keep a freaking eye on. I love this dude. He's a hell of a player. I really, really was pleased with what he put on tape, special teams-wise as well. He's just pretty damn good. Tayshaun Gibson, again, as I said earlier, he's my number 6 player. I think he gets called up week 1. But outside of weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4, like I wouldn't be surprised, whenever Jimmy Ward does come back, that they might even move on from Tayshaun Gibson as a whole. Like he might not even be on the practice squad. So he is the immediate short-term fix at that safety position. And now that you brought back Dante Johnson, he might not even be that. Dante Johnson might get those snaps, but I don't think he should. I really want Dante Johnson at that strong safety spot. I just think that's where he should be. We've seen him played so many times out of position. Allow him to be successful. Strong safety is the spot he should play in. But Tayshaun Gibson, free safety. Taylor Hawkins, free safety, right? So that's why I have them number 6 and 7. Next one up, and this one might upset some people, and that's okay. I have Jason Poe at 5 on my practice squad value. And again, the whole philosophy behind this is short-term impact, which I think he has none. I don't think there's a chance he gets called up this year, literally at all. I think if there was an injury at the guard position, Nick Zakelj, let's go through this. Let's say Burford and Banks are your starters at guard, which they are. Daniel Brunskill would be next. Then Nick Zakelj would be, maybe not Nick Zakelj, but you're pulling from Jalon Moore, who should be playing guard, not tackle. Colton McKivitz, if you've got McGlinchey healthy at right tackle, then Colton McKivitz at guard, which is where he should be playing. Then you got Nick Zakelj. Then it would be Jason Poe. So you can kind of see the delineation. Now, the 49ers kept a lot of offensive linemen. There's a lot there. 9. They usually only keep 8. And, it was 9. Then they claimed 10, right? So now they got 10 guys there. What's up, Kev? Love it, man. He says, tapping in for work on my birthday. What's up, man? I love it. He's got me playing in the background. Well, happy birthday, Kev. Appreciate all you do for the community, for all that you're just such a good dude, man. So appreciate the relationship of what you do, and just keep doing your thing, man. Hope you have a great birthday, man. Wish I was freaking having a beer with you, my friend. All right. So Jason Poe, I like him long-term. That's why I have him here at 5. We won't know this. I hope he starts working at center right freaking now. That's what I would do. Jason Poe, guess what? You're center. You and Keaton Sutherland, you're centers. Go. Work. That's what because again, I don't want to see Poe this year. I don't want to see him. Don't want to see him. I want him working center from this point on the scout team forward, and then we'll see what happens next year. Because Brendel, even though he's good and he might be the starter week 1, and Brunskill, he's a backup, I don't think the long-term center's on the 53-man roster. Unless that's Nick Zakelj, Jason Poe. Those are the 2 long-term answers. You got to get those up. 49ers fan for life. If Juice gets banged up, do you think he's called up? I don't. I'd love for him to play some fullback, but we've seen Ross Dwelley do it. Tyler Croft can do it. I think those are probably your options. And then Troy Fumagalli, who I think went unclaimed. He's been doing it as well. And Josh Hockett, that's another spot that could be filled on, that last roster spot. Josh Hockett's sitting out there. So there's some options. Yeah, Poe would be fun at fullback. But I think that they have the value at interior offensive lineman for him. I'd put him at DT. I've said that over and over again. Put him at defensive tackle. That's where he should be. That's where I would put him. But Jason Poe comes in at number 5. I love the dude. Long-term play. I was screaming. I remember people were asking me and emailing me, oh, is Jason Poe going to be starting over Aaron Banks? And I was just like, who in the world was putting this out there? That made no sense. The play didn't show that at all with the consistency. The tape didn't. And again, this is why I'm upset that the 49ers didn't share their press conference today with the public, because now we've got to take the word of these people that just keep throwing out horrendous take after horrendous take. And a lot of them do great jobs. I'm not saying they don't. And, I subscribe to a lot of their channels and, I listen and watch their content, but like whenever it's filtered through another source, whether that's me or anybody else included, it picks up extras. I want the raw content, and I want you guys to have the raw content. That's why Juan Solis and I work so freaking hard to get those clips, because we could tell you what they said. I want to show you what they said, and then create the dialogue between what was said and the way in which to interpret it, so people understand where we're arriving. This is, you can go back to lots of different things. Hot Take Central, right? Those are out there. It's really easy to get out there and say, oh, the 49ers have botched this situation and whatever else. Well, okay, what are you bracketing that conversation with, and where's the context for that? Because if you play the actual clip, which the 49ers did not allow to be public, was, guess what? The exact quote was, and I can quote it, quote, "Oh my God, you mean to tell me Jimmy Garoppolo can be a backup quarterback for us? Awesome." That's the quote. How do you get Trey Lance neck being breathed down and pressure turned up, and they're giving up on Trey Lance? They literally went to Trey Lance and asked him, hey, are you okay with Jimmy Garoppolo coming back as a backup quarterback? What did Trey Lance said? Awesome. I'd love to have him back. He helped me out so much last year. So again, like, that's what I'm trying to create. That's what this show's about, right? Again, increasing fan experience, educating fans so that they understand exactly why their team's doing what they're doing and what's happening on the field. That way, game day's better. And if you're just following all this negative energy and, oh, they're out on Trey Lance and blah, blah, but like, oh, that sucks. That just gives you anxiety and frustration with something that's just 100% fabricated. It's not there. It's not there. And there's very prominent sports writers that have covered San Francisco sports for a long time. But again, the question comes back to this. And I'll just stand on this. Allow track record to speak for themselves. Allow it. Allow people, when they show you who they are, trust them. Were they the Mac at 3 crowd? Which isn't a bad thing. If they thought Mac at 3, that's great. That's not bad. Were they wrong? Who gives a damn? But they drank the Kool-Aid, right? Are they the arm fatigue crowd? Talking about Trey Lance's arm fatigue crowd. Okay, well, that's 2 strikes. All right, cool. Now are they the crowd that's saying, oh, they're not sold on Trey? That's 3 strikes, you're out, baby. And some of those people do some great content for entertainment. Don't go to them for Niners education, right? Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Thank you, Shot J. And I'm sorry, I went off on a little tangent there. So I apologize. Let's take a break from the practice squad and talk about the 53. Offensive lineman Blake Hance. They claimed him off waivers. He's a Kyle Shanahan guy. I talked about this last night with Crocker and Peacock. Undrafted free agent in 2019, bounced around. He was with the Bills, Washington, Jaguars, Jets. Has not played well. He can play every single position, which is Shanahan versatility. He's just another guy. He's a guy that probably should play guard, but he's played tackle and he's underwhelmed. Just has not been good. He's not good. I think he gave up 5 sacks last year in limited time, but he is a tackle, and he is at his best so far. He's played left and right tackle. Right tackle has been his best. So will he catch up to be the swing tackle? I don't think so. I think he's fourth in line. So I think, go ahead, Clayton. What do we got?
Hey, no, I was going to let you keep on going, John, because you're spot on. I mean, this guy does have 5 position versatility, and John Lynch said as much in the presser today with the media members. That was unfortunately closed off to us. John Lynch said they do expect him to be the third backup at center after Brunskill, but that he does have the positional versatility to play all 5 positions. Will that pan out? Oh, that remains to be seen. But yeah, that's the plan for Blake Hance.
It's thank you, Clayton. Man, appreciate that. All shows are better when Clayton is here. He is such a good dude. And so here's my problem. Shanahan and them, they have bought into the system of positional versatility, and that's important to them. And it's not that I'm like mad or anything like that, but you're going to move this guy to center. And hey, if that works, that's great. And it's a third team center, so who gives a damn, right? But my guess is this. Here's the tackle depth chart. Trent Williams, Mike McGlinchey, Colton McKivitz. That's solid, okay? Those 3, those are etched in stone. Now, if you've got to get to the 4th one, that's where it gets a little shaky. Is it Jalen Moore? Ew, I don't think anybody wants that. Is it Blake Hance? At right tackle, I'd be okay with that. Jalen Moore, I don't want playing tackle. I just want him at guard. I really wish they'd move him to guard. Anyway, so now you've got Hance as your number 4 tackle, and I guess your number 3 center. And, especially with Brunskill maybe not being ready week 1, it is nice to have some more options there. So you're going to get him in there, snap, see how he does. He's been with the Browns, which run a similar, Stefanski runs a similar system offensively. So not too worried about that really at all. So we're going to be all right there. We're going to be all right there. It's just, again, he's a number 3 center. He's a number 3 center. If everything hits the fan, then you're calling up, number 12 on our list, Keaton Sutherland. And if that's the case, yikes. That's going to be bad. So I'm not the biggest fan and Blake Hance, but we'll see. It does rhyme with Trey Lance. So Blake Hance, Trey Lance, I like that. Alliteration's good. I want to get some good thumbnails out of this on YouTube if he does get some playing time, but I don't think it'd be worth it for the long haul. All right, let's go number 4. And I'm mad at myself already seeing these rankings. My favorite undrafted free agent, Quantrez Knight. Q Knight, baby. Q. I love this kid so freaking much. I was so pissed when he didn't make the 53, but I get it. He is Dante Johnson's future. He's played safety. He's played nickel. He's played corner. He's played all over special teams, and he thrived at every freaking one. He's worth it to be on the roster now, but they've got a lot of guys ahead of him. Oh, what's up, Flynn? He says, go buy a beer, John. I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you, Flynn, for the gift. Really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Jason says, love me some Knight. Yeah, I'm working behind the scenes. I'm trying to get him on the show. We'll see what happens. Reached out to his agent. We got into some contact with him. So trying to set that up. We'll see if we can get that to fruition or not. But I just love, I just want that dude on the film. I want him on the field. That's what I want. I just love his energy, his persona, his moxie. It's freaking awesome. So where does he fit on the depth chart now? Again, he's similar to Taylor Hawkins. Shanahan and D'Amico don't trust young players. They don't. And rightfully so, unless they go all world on you like Samuel Womack. Then, all right, let's see what's going on. But he's got time to develop because you've got guys ahead of them that are showing out. And when Diamador Lenore showed that he could play nickel not only good but really well, that pushed Knight to the practice squad. Flynn, he says, I hope Knight doesn't have to play this year, but I'll be excited for him to watch him if he does. Exactly correct. Like, I don't think that they like him as much as the outside corner, but golly, man, put him at freaking safety. He could play safety. But they seem to like him at that slot corner role, which is probably his best fit. It's probably his best fit. Safety would probably be second. So Quantrez Knight, I got at 4. Eventually, guys, he's going to be there. He's just too damn good a player. Now, do I think that he'll overtake Samuel Womack? No, I don't think that he has to. I think that he can be a stud special teamer, back up, both safety spots and the nickel role. That's a spot there on the roster that's created, similar to kind of George Odom, but he would be a backup safety and a backup slot, and he's cheap, super cheap. All right, next up, number 3, the last undrafted free agent on this roster, on this practice squad, Marcelino McCrary-Ball, number 40, man, representing Bar None out there. Bar None, baby. If you guys remember that, referencing the older fans here. Loved William Floyd. God, he was awesome. But Marcelino McCrary-Ball was incredible. Remember, number 1 signing bonus out of all the undrafted free agents. He got the most money. They loved him. Now, they kept Curtis Robinson on the 53 because shenanigans. As soon as he did, you put him back on IR, and he's just stuck on the shelf. So this way, you got to keep 2 undrafted free agents at the linebacker position, which they like both of them. I think that Curtis Robinson's a better special teamer. I think Marcelino McCrary-Ball is a better linebacker. And he is in the play long term. He is on the Azeez Al-Shire program. Remember, he was an undrafted free agent that was on the practice squad early too. Azeez was, and you develop him. And that's exactly what they're going to do here. And I've talked about this, we talked about this with our cap guy yesterday, Jason Hurley, which if you missed that show, holy cow, after this, go watch that. It was incredible. I learned so much about bonuses, cap rates, all those different things. I thought it was really, really good. Jason said McCrary-Ball did really good against Green Bay. He did. He is a play side, strong side linebacker. I think he's at his best. I don't like him as much in the middle, but you got Fred Warner there. I want him as that Sam backer. And so next year, Greenlaw and Azeez are up for contracts. One, if not both, will be walking. I want him in that Sam role. I really, really do. I think he will be the starting number 3 linebacker. You keep Azeez or you keep Greenlaw, whichever one you want to. No wrong choice there. They're both incredible. And I'm telling you right now, right here, Chapman State claim right here. Marcelino McCrary-Ball will be the starting number 3 linebacker next year in 2023. Clayton, can you tell me what time this is on the show? Will you just put that in our notes so that we can, I'm clipping this. This is going to the Chapman receipt box. Marcelino McCrary-Ball will be the number 3 starting linebacker for the 2023 49ers. I'm just telling you that's what it is. It's what it's going to be because he's a damn good player. They valued him, almost drafted him. They paid out the wazoo to get him, but we're just so deep. You got DFF, you got Oren Burks, you've got those guys there, plus the 3 studs in front of them. And if one linebacker goes down, this is your play right here. Marcelino McCrary-Ball will be activated. Ball can run fast. He is almost identical to Fred Warner's height, weight, speed, athleticism. They're almost identical. He fits exactly what they want. And that's number 3. Really, really high on that kid. Don't need him this year. Let him develop. Let him get some seasoning. Next year, he's starting. I'm telling you. I wish my bookie would put a line out on that, man. I would push the chips forward. I feel very prominent about that. I feel very confident in this. Now, number 2. I don't understand the world the NFL is in. How in the hell did Malik Turner not get a contract for another team? I don't know how they got him back. When we were in our, our Patreon only Zoom hangout where everybody was arguing through, okay, this player, that player, that player, Malik Turner made our roster, our 53, and not a lot of arguments against him. It's just, he's so freaking solid. And you watch the special teams play. Golly, he's great. Watch the freaking offense. He was, whenever they pulled all the starters, he was like everybody's favorite target. Slants, deep passes, out routes. He was doing it all, plus the special teams. So if the 49ers are in the case where they're heading into a game and there's not a lot of injuries, which doesn't happen often, you're calling up Malik Turner, because if he is called up, he is starting every single freaking special teams group there is. Every single one. So even if he's not number 6, he'd be the number 6 wide receiver. And that's why I have him so far ahead of Willie Snead. I got Willie Snead at 9 out of the 15. I got Malik Turner at 2. That's how important he is, which leaves us to number 1. Holy freaking cow. Kamoko Ture. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. and go back to when all the cuts started happening, okay? Like, jump back, get in your DeLorean, go back. Remember when we cut to Ray, like how you felt? You're just like, oh, no, why? He was so good. You even had Bosa talking about it. I think I got rid of this clip. I do think I got rid of this clip. Man, dang it. Anyway, I got rid of that clip, but like it was just unreal how much he jumped off the tape. He was the best, and I've said this multiple times. Kamoko Toure was the best 49ers player this preseason. Not best defensive lineman, not best defensive player, the best 49ers player, period, consistently against the run, against the pass. How did he not get stolen? Now, I think this might be another thing that's important too. He's a vet. He doesn't go to waivers. So a team has to basically say, hey, we want you. Do you want us? The 49ers is a great place to be. We have gotten people like Toure paid so much money with Chris Kusarek. I mean, it doesn't take much, whether you're looking at DJ Jones, the amount of money he got. Solomon Thomas even got a second contract, which is crazy to me. I think he's got a third contract as well. But then you look at Arden Key, you look at Kerry Hyder 2 years ago, and he's surrounded by those guys. And it's just like, dude, trust me, just stay here. We're going to get you paid. We're going to get you paid. Coach Cruz says supposedly there's going to be a huge announcement from Adam Peters. Man, I saw a lot of that coming out, but I don't think that's going to happen. You know, Adam Peters doing the press conference, I saw the conspiracy theorists. They jumped on that real quick. Yeah, everybody's saying John Lynch is gone, all them. Again, look at their track record. Try to pay attention to track record. The NFL has put an emphasis on the number 2 person in the personnel department getting more face time. That has been a point of emphasis that they have said they want done. And a big reason why they had to do this was Kyle Shanahan. You remember when LaFleur, the brother LaFleur, got the job at Green Bay, Shanahan blocked the LaFleur brother, the offensive coordinator at the time, to go interview with him. He blocked him and said, nope, that's a lateral move. He can't go. So the NFL basically said, hey, you have to structure your roster top to bottom. You need clearly defined roles so that we can help people promote their jobs. That's a Shanahan issue. Shanahan's going to have a lot of rules named after him, by the way, when he's all said and done. And so what happened was they made this clear line flow chart of, number 1, 2, and 3 in the personnel department, and your offensive play callers and your defensive play callers. And the NFL has said, we need to promote more from within. And this is part of the whole minority makeup, getting more minority coaches, minority front office members, things like that. How do you do that? You have to put them in front more. Now, is Adam Peters a minority? Not to my knowledge, but the only way that you can create that quote unquote level playing field is for all number 1 and 2s to get more face time. Which is freaking sorry, because the 49ers didn't even make it public. So the whole idea of getting it more face time and getting it out there, didn't even share it. I really hated that move, man. Last 2, I really just do not like it. Yeah, bad taste in my mouth. I'm upset about that. Not for me. I can get access to it. Not too worried about it. It's bad for you. It's bad for the brand. It's bad for the community. It doesn't benefit those things. I'd really like to have that conversation with somebody in charge, because I just don't see it. Real quick, Tobias, what's up, man? He says, John, can you explain to me, a Swede, what's up, my friend, who is not used to draft systems, waivers, etc. What is the difference between a guy picking up a guy from someone else's practice squad? Use the practice squad's the term, not training squad, but I understand 100% what you mean. So well said. And claim somebody from waivers. Perfect. Okay. The 49ers now have 15 practice squad members. They're going to get 2 more. What happens is, if somebody claims somebody off our practice squad, they have to sign them to the 53-man active roster. Okay, you have to. So Kamiko Toure, let's say a defensive end somewhere for the Browns gets injured or whatever. I'm just throwing a name out there. I don't want anybody for the Browns getting injured, but I'm just saying, let's build this hypothetical. Browns need a veteran defensive end. They can claim Kamiko Toure. They just get him. They literally grab him from our practice squad. He is on their 53-man roster now. What that means is, in order to do that, the Browns have to get somebody off their 53. right? It's finite number of spots, 53 to be exact. That's why they call it that. So you have to get rid of somebody, whether that's them going on IR or releasing them to allow Toure to be on there. Now, the whole idea of the practice squad, and this is where it gets even more complicated. The 49ers and every single team is allowed to protect 2 players a week. You can't protect them every week. So you can't just say we're protecting Kamiko Toure and Malik Turner every week. You can't do that. You just can't do that. But that is an option where you can do it twice. So you could protect Kamiko Toure twice. Nobody could claim him. So then the Browns could say, hey, we want Kamiko Toure, but you have to turn it in beforehand. You can't do it retroactively. You have to announce every week the 49ers are protecting these 2 players. And last year, a lot of times, the 49ers didn't protect anybody. Because if you're on the practice squad, your goal is to get to a roster. You get paid more, helps with your retirement packages, helps with a whole bunch of different things. But yeah, pay is considerably much, much higher. So it's kind of a benefit to your players. And it's a weird game you got to play here. It's a 2020, right? Because you want to protect them to help the 49ers, but also you want players to want to be on your practice squad. So you got to be careful. And so that's kind of where that is. So the 49ers can claim any player on any other team's practice squad right now, but if they do, they have to cut one of their 53, just like what we did with Trey Sermon. So we claimed Blake Hance, right? So we took him off of waivers. He was waived, which waivers, to go on waivers, you have to be in the year 4 or less years, or less than 4 years. Then it goes through the draft wire, right? 1 through 32. So Jaguars get first claim. Detroit Lions get second claim. On and on and on and on to the 49ers, who are at 29. We claimed Blake Harris. We had to cut somebody. Who'd we cut? We cut Trey Sermon. So now Trey Sermon's on waivers. All 32 teams get an opportunity. Hey, do you want Trey Sermon? If you do, who are you going to let go? If all 32 teams say no, now he's just out there in the abyss, and the 49ers can say, hey, come to our practice squad. And then at any point again, another team can claim him and just take him, snatch him away from us. So hopefully that broke it down a little bit. If there's still some more questions on that, throw those up in the chat quickly before we jump out of here so I can dive more into it. But that is a wonderful question. Thank you. And appreciate you. Faithful from afar, man. One of the things I'm most excited about this year is our Mexico trip. Oh, with 49ers Rush road trip. I'm so pumped about this. I'm so excited about this. I've been on the phone with hotels and working with lots of things. Our bus arrangements are almost done. What we're trying to do, or not what we're trying to do, what we're going to do and what's taking so long is, we're staying in the Reforma district in Mexico. And I want to make sure this is a family atmosphere, and 2, people are safe. I know that's been a concern for a lot of people. We're setting up coach buses to take us from the hotel to the party. And then also on Sunday, we're throwing a party beforehand. So we're going from the hotel to the party beforehand, back on the buses to the stadium, and then stadium to the buses back to the hotel, which is a lot because we're staying in the safest, funnest district, the Reforma district, which is like 45 minutes away from the stadium, which is not in a great area. So we're trying to create this safe, fun atmosphere and all that stuff. But I'm so excited to meet so many people south of the border, which I get emails all the time. And if you've ever been to a 49ers tailgate, there is always a Guadalajara, Mexico City chapter, and they freaking party, which I'm so excited about. 49ers fan for life. John, I stay in Florida. How can I sign up for that trip? 49ersrushroadtrip.com. That is where you can get access to every single thing. 49ersrushroadtrip.com. I never thought I would go from being a football coach for a decade to a travel agent, but here we are. It definitely wasn't what it was intended, but if the community needs it, there was a need that needed to be met, and we're filling it. So Willie asked this: how does the waiver order determine, and does it change? It does change. For the first 4 weeks, I believe. Clayton, can you look this up? I want to make sure. When does the waiver order reorder? I think it's the first 4 weeks of the season. It stays the same, and it's the draft order. Worst rosters get worst record gets first pick, right? Jaguars, Lions, all the way down to your Super Bowl winners at 32. The Rams, Bengals, 49ers are 29. That's where they go. Now, after, I believe it's week 4, Clayton to get back to us on that in a second. Then it reorders based on the records in the 2022 season. So if a team goes 0-4, they'll be at the top, not the Jaguars. Now, if it's the same, which it probably will be, and it just refreshes every week. If you're in fantasy football, it's very similar to that process where last team gets first pick. Now, one of the things that's interesting that a lot of people don't know, the Jaguars have first claim. They can claim as many players as they want. They can claim 6 players, which is crazy. And again, it shows you bottom level teams versus good teams. The Bears, who are the 49ers week 1 opponents, they claim 6 players. They claim 6 players off waivers. They don't have a good roster. Clayton, what did we find?
Hey, so John, you were pretty much spot on. Just was off by 1 week. So after the Monday Night Football game on week 3, the waiver wire reverts to team records for that particular season.
Boom. There we go. Man, Clayton. Dude,
or excuse me. It's reverse order of the current league standings.
Right. Yeah. So the worst is first. Good teams. If you're 3-0, you're picking last. That's the whole idea. Thank you, Clayton. That was incredible. And again, the whole idea here, again, just putting this into perspective, the Jets had the most players claimed. The Jets did. 49ers were near the top. And guess how many players the Rams had claimed? 0. Which is a testament to, again, how deep your roster is. We've been telling you all offseason, Rams don't have a deep roster. They have a very top-heavy roster and a bunch of guys. Nobody wanted any Rams players. 49ers had Sudfeld claimed, Hasty claimed, Tariq Castro Fields claimed, Keyshawn Johnson was claimed after the first round of cuts, Hawkett first round of cuts, Tanner Hudson second round of cuts, Kadar Holman he landed on the Falcons practice squad, but still, like, it just goes to show you, like, there's a big difference. Don asked this, John, you need to explain how they sign a player to the practice squad, both vets and rookies. Yes, that is different. You get 6 vets, 10 rookies. I need to look at the per diem. You get a per diem. You get paid per day that you're at the facility, whether you practice or whatever. Usually it's like $1,000 or whatever. It usually includes food, whatever else. But also it comes out to per game check, usually $17,000. Now you can negotiate different things, so it's all negotiable. But those are the bare minimums that are set. So usually I think it's $17,000 a week. They upped it after the last CBA, which was important. Dan Case, we need a good soundbite for when Clayton pops in. Dude, that is like like the old like ESPN, like, whatever. Yeah, my sound was way off. I was off on that one. Anyway, so that's gonna do it for us today, guys. This has been incredible. I really enjoyed this show. Hopefully you guys did too. And if you did, man, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on, hit the like button, help us out that way. And again, just real quick reminder, 3:00 today over on Patreon, patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast, live show with 49ers Cutback. So that's going to be over there. And until next time, baby, stay strong, faithful.